said channeling. I remember you sent me a text. You were like, "Oh my God, I'm channeling." And at first I thought I wanted to, I'm not that I was poo-pooing it, but I wanted you to realize it was your higher self, but it is channeling.
Right.
Channeling basically is when you're taking your conscious mind and you're kind of putting it away and allowing something bigger or greater than yourselves to come through and speak through you. And that's exactly what happens in those sessions is your higher, I call it your higher self.
Yeah.
Dolores calls it your subconscious, but
Right.
that she started calling that a long time ago, before everybody else, like psychiatrists and doctors, started talking about the subconscious mind. So I want to be clear, it's not the same as you think of when psychiatrists are saying subconscious. Dolores just didn't know what to call it at the time when this first started happening. And she knew it wasn't the conscious mind. She knew it was something deeper, sub. So she referred to it the subconscious. But I call it higher self. You can call it overlord. You can call it whatever this great higher energy is that comes through and helps us in our current life.
Yeah, it really helped me. I've never experienced anything like that. And I think this could help a lot of people because when yourself is telling you what you need to know, and like you could tell me, or my daughter could tell me, or Tom could tell me, but when it's your higher self telling you, you're like, oh, okay, I got it now, because it's you. It's
Right.
your higher, and it's you because you're sitting there, and then you get the recording back, and you're like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. And it's so funny. I wanted to tell you this when that little girl that went into the house, and I remember talking about 11 people in the house. My mom said that was my grandmother, and her siblings, including her mother and father, was 11 people in this small little house. And I mean, oh my God, I have goosebumps right now, but I was like, oh my God, and that was weird. Can you bring stuff like that? Your grandmother, or is it you, or is it, well, I guess it's a part of you.
It's a part of you. So
Okay.
Let me kind of go over real quickly how the whole process works so that people understand what part we're talking about. So when someone comes in for a qhht session, like when Suzette did, the first part is really get to know the client. And when Suzette came, I know you had some apprehension about meeting with me because you'd never met me before. You talked to me briefly on the phone. You were going to some strange lady's house that you didn't know if there was somebody else there, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And so it was daunting, or it can be daunting to someone who doesn't know me. But my job is to have them come in and make them feel comfortable.
Right.
I want to help. That's why I got into this.
Yes.
There's a lot of different spiritual modalities that I was looking at, but what resonated with me so much was exactly what you said. All of the information comes from you and your voice. I'm not putting any suggestions in. I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying, oh, I'm getting this feeling, or, I would love to have those, but I don't get that stuff yet. So everything comes from you and your voice. But after we talk for a long time, the interview is really crucial. A lot of times people want to gloss over it, or, oh, you kind of know me a little bit. You know my struggles. I don't think we need to get too deep and dirty. But honestly, the more the conscious mind, which is what's talking in the interview, the more the conscious mind talks, the more it gets tired. And the longer you talk, the more tired it gets. And then it's easier for me to induce you into that nice, relaxed state and get the conscious mind out of there. Because the conscious mind is going to want to come in and say, hey, this feels weird. I don't know who this person is. Oh, this doesn't make sense. Let's just pretend it didn't happen. They're going to try to derail the session.
The whole
Because
session.
they want to keep you safe, and they don't know any different. They're so used to keeping your body safe. That's what the conscious mind does. It keeps us safe. So it wants to do its role, but my job is to try to get it over to the side so we can get you nice and relaxed into the right side of your brain, which is where all the visuals, your memories, and everything is stored. So the more I can get you talking on the interview and the more I know you, the better it is for me when it gets to the session, because then I can actually know what questions to ask that are going to be most important for you. And I won't know that if I don't know the client very well. So we talked for a long time, didn't we, Suzette?
Yeah.
And we talked about
2 or 3 hours.
We talked about who you are today, your childhood. I want to say I usually ask, I don't know if I did it with you or not, but I always like to ask what's your first memory and even kind of
Mhm.
start from there because that
Wow.
really gets me into how far back they can remember. And then we just go kind of in a timeline and I get to the nitty gritty. But the more information you can give your practitioner and the more safe and comfortable you feel with them, which is really important.
And that
Um,
was important for me. The
yeah,
comfort, that was more important than anything. I had lots of modalities, so just being safe was to let go. And once I let go and was felt safe, then I could actually go into my subconscious or my higher self or whatever. So
yeah.
the talking was brilliant.
Yes, yes. It's intended to get a lot of stuff out too.
Right.
The
Oh
interview
yeah.
should be emotional because you're talking about your life and what's gone wrong and why you're coming to see me. I mean, there's generally a reason as to why you want to have a session like this. It could be from physical symptoms. You could have
Mhm.
physical ailments that can be healed.
Mhm.
It could just be simple, what's my purpose? I feel stuck in my life. Or is this the right relationship for me? So it's any question is can be answered. But the interview just gets you kind of loose and relaxed, and then at that point, I do an induction, which is a very quick induction. And this is what Dolores is known for. It's all about visualization.
Mhm.
So, I'll ask you to visualize a couple different things in your head. And the more you can visualize it, the easier it is for the movie to kind of start playing, if that makes sense. Um, if you see an image of a pair of shoes, for instance, say brown shoes. Okay, brown shoes. Are they small? They're small brown shoes made of leather and they look very dirty. It could be a kid type of shoes. The more you look at that image and really concentrate on it, the more everything kind of comes clear in that vision. So it's really important to be able to visualize or at least um, I think it's, yeah, I do. I want to say it's important to be able to visualize. If you can't visualize, I didn't realize this until I started doing this. There is a certain number of the population that can't see things in their mind's eye.
Hmm.
And I'm not really sure how to navigate that yet. That's why I'm just an intern still learning and practicing. But if you can visualize, then you can do this with ease. And it's just about getting you relaxed. We go down to the theta phase, which is the deepest state of trance. The ones you see on TV, like or the stage hypnotists, or ones that are generally for quit smoking and that kind of stuff, they stay away from the theta because they've realized that weird things happen. And the weird things is what Dolores wanted to happen and what she explored. But most traditional hypnotherapy, as far as I understand it, kind of takes you to the alpha layer, which is not quite as deep, but it's still potent and does work in that particular modality. But we'll take you all the way down to the theta level. That's the level that you're in right before you go to sleep, and
Mhm.
the first when you wake up, right before your conscious mind takes over. And
Mhm.
it's a mambuliscate state, which means that you can actually move. It's kind of like when people are sleepwalking. That's the same type of state that they're in because sometimes people have to get up and go to the bathroom during these sessions.
Wow.
And it happens. And so I kind of I help them over to the bathroom and I kind of say, pretend, when you go into the bathroom in the middle of the night and you kind of don't want to turn the lights on and you're half eyes closed and you're feeling mostly, I go to the bathroom and that state come back and I can put them right back in. So
Wow. That's wild.
you are able to move. I don't want people to think you can't move. You do have free will.
Yes.
I know that scares people. People think, "Oh my gosh, someone's going to hypnotize me and what are they going to do to me?" I'm not
Exactly.
going I'm not going to do anything to you that you wouldn't allow me to. And maybe so that you can speak on that. Did you feel at any point like you didn't have control?
No, I felt like I had control, but I also felt like I was under hypnosis because my eyes,
Mhm.
and you said something to me about it, and then after I thought about it, I could feel my eyes just going back and forth, and but I kind of felt like I was, not that I couldn't move, I could move, but just like a heaviness of
Yes.
just. And I do meditation, you guys, so when I'm doing meditation, sometimes I feel real heavy, and it's not it's just a heaviness of being still. like
Yes.
a stillness. I want to say a stillness, not a heaviness. Um, so it was a stillness over me, and I felt totally fine, totally safe. But I did know that I was in a different space, realm, whatever you might call it.
It is. It's hard to describe because to
It
me,
is.
I feel like myself, but just a little bit different, like a little bit more relaxed. But there's
Yes.
nothing that anybody could tell me to do that I wouldn't want to normally do in my daily life that I would do. You know what I mean? It's not like anybody could put me in some weird, make me do something I didn't want to do.
No, I
Um,
felt like when I was under, if I didn't want to do it, I just said no.
mhm,
I think
mhm,
I've in my session something I said no, and
mhm,
that was the end of it. Um,
mhm.
so yeah, I think you still can do. You can come out of it if you wanted to, but for
Yes.
me, I just wanted to be there and relax and to hear what my higher self had to say.
Mhm.
You kind of really need to be in that wanting receiving.
That's the other thing too, is you have